My content is for 13 and up or adult collectors of the product. Hello everyone, for this video, this is going to be the top 6 between the dual layers to the DB system worst evolution. So I tried to get some thoughts on the community tab and everything to pick this, and let me know your 6. So it would just be the first season, second season, third season, fourth, fifth, and sixth. It's only between, we're not counting BU, whatever. And yeah, before we continue, subscribe to the channel with bell notifications on. And yeah, disclaimer, obviously, right, there are some releases that maybe you could argue for worse, or some maybe that just like are also bad, but these are just some are personal picks for me, and some I really did have to think about. So to start us off with the dual layers, we have XENO XCALIBUR, and keep in mind, this is not just stock combos, this is all the parts that released on that evolution. Was there anything that aged well? Was there anything that just didn't, or wasn't that effective, right? So to start us off with XENO, now there were some tough choices. There was the evolution to Minoboros, and there was Unicorn, right? So U2 and M2. I picked X2 just because it particularly makes me upset. But let's explain. So to go over with our lair, now a big issue was how they handled the sword. Now I would pretty much say that the sword had this curse that started with XENO. The original one was sharp, XENO was rounded compared to the original. Sieg was sharp, Buster was rounded. It started the curse. I think the teeth on it were like, you know, it was fine, right? You know, it was fine, I would say, but the fact that it lags so much to its predecessor, and not only that, but I think significance of the overall parts, it's just upsetting. And like I said, you can probably say the other ones. This one's just particular for me, and not even the sword launcher can probably save this thing. The next part was MAGNUM. Now this was metal with some plastic around it. Now the idea was it was supposed to line up with the sword and everything for like synergy or whatever. Really, if you were to use this disc, like I'm really trying to think, you could maybe say, like, I don't know, the original Valkyrie, or I guess Victory, and like the two Excaliburs, like it didn't have, there was way better options that you could pick. But really what I think the biggest offense to this Excalibur is impact. I think impact is terrible. So what they tried to do, right, you can't do better than extreme. It's like basically like a triangle rubber, right? And then after it's also with plastic edges, right? It's just terrible stamina, terrible for attack. It's frustrating. And don't get me wrong, you can maybe say visually it looks cool, maybe, I guess, but that's just for me, man. And obviously, yes, you can say, you know, U2 or M2. It's just, I don't know, for this one personally, right? Because I know a lot of will say, you know, this, that, and this. Some of it's personal, some of it, it's not easy, right? It's not easy. You know, we got to put someone on the list. We got to put someone on the list. With that, we have Killer Death Scyther. Now, Killer Death Scyther, I would say, is probably... No, I would say it's like the worst Death Scyther for its respective meta. Like... It doesn't have much going for it. So essentially what the gimmick with this was this little plastic part here would move, and the idea was like a double tap scythe, right? So it'd be like here, and then the impact. You know, the teeth on it were okay, but it wasn't really that effective of an attack layer, to be honest, and I don't know what happened. Like, this just is essentially what I like to call the whole anime gimmick thing, where yes, it's cool in the anime, but in real life, it's really poor. And I did really struggle to think, because I thought, what about God Valkyrie? That layer was really not that special. Or maybe the layer of Tornado Wyvern. It is tough, but I think Killer especially, because also, you know, Toon Vortex, which, you know, 2 was, you know, that's, you know, fine, fair enough, you know, that's okay for it. And, you know, Hunter. You know, Hunter does lag behind Extreme, but I think just really the lair, to be honest, and I don't, not like it gives, It's very hard, right? Because there are some things where it's repeated, but sometimes repeat is not necessarily bad. It can be a good thing. But I think for what it offers, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think this is more just on the lair, to be honest. Like, because I'm trying to really think, and I just think it's really just because of the lair overall, because eventually with Hunter, we got Hunter Dash. It's got to just be on the lair, because even with Wyvern, you know, Wyvern I think offers more, and even like Strike God, that's the thing. Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm sorry, Death Scyther, I'm sorry, but you gotta be on there. You gotta be on there. Like, it's tough, man, but that's about it. Now, next up we have Bloody Longinus. So with Bloody Longinus, similar to Killer, I think it was like the worst within the respective meta that it released in, right? Like, Killer was, like, especially terrible to, like, the point where maybe some dual layers could probably beat it. But, I think especially with Bloody, it was only really good against same spin stuff. So yes, maybe it can beat Hell Salamander, beat Geist, or whatever, right? Maybe Nightmare, Left Spriggan Requiem, Drain, but against right stuff, it's pretty clapped. And I think especially in Cho Z, I don't think it aids particularly well. I think if you look at basically all the other Longinuses that dominated the meta, this in comparison, yeah, I would probably say is a little bit disappointing. The disc 2, 13 was useless. Like 13, 12, and 11, they were new discs and not really that special, to be honest. Only the ones that were like 10 or 00 were useful. This is, what in particular was the issue with it? I think it was really just, in specific, it was weight. The only real, like, saving grace was Jolt. No, Jolt is, I prefer just, you can use it to get for rights, but I prefer just for lefts, but it was a very solid attack tip. This was, like, the only saving grace to me, to be quite honest. Because if you look overall for, the evolution and what it offered, like, that's pretty much what I gotta go with, man. Next up for GT, we have /Valkyrie. Now keep in mind, I was heavily considering Wizard, but the thing is, Wizard has a mold too that released. And also, it's tough, because between the two of them, I tried to weigh which had overall separately the better parts and everything, and overall for tiering and whatever. And you know, with Slash, you had something really good, which was the Valkyrie chip, and RETSU was also solid, I would say. But then you get to Slash, and it's like, when you go from Chozy Valkyrie, winning Valkyrie to Slash, it's like, it's a very big disappointment. There's nothing special with Slash. Nothing. It was, like... Now, granted, we did get Blitz, and that was a very solid disc for attack. So yes, credit where credit's due, Blitz was pretty good. Power, on the other hand, stinks. And the gimmick with Power, what it was there was like a built-in... it was basically like nothing but an attack tip, but imagine just poor stamina. Like, maybe you could have some fun big jumps or whatever, but... yeah, once again, nothing really there for me to say other than... Now, for sparking, it's tied between these two. It really is, and I really had to think about Hyperion Burn. And Hyperion Burn has more to offer than these two. These also are arguably pretty disappointing because they had such a good concept with Master for the flip thing that Spriggan stole. And like, neither of them have good shapes for the rings. Like, the only redeemable part was the Diabolos chip. That was like the only real good thing about it. And the parts that were offered on here, there's nothing new. There's nothing new other than the ring and on the chip. So it's like, for just the chip, it's like, that's like the only, like, at least Hyperion Burn has Exceed Dash in the Hyperion 2 chip. Even freaking Jet Wyvern has more to offer than these two. And now we move on finally to Dynamite Battle with Dangerous Belial. So with Dynamite Battle, my pick is going to be Dangerous Belial, and this is what I think is the worst evolution in Dynamite. What the? What just... wait, no. But I... Oh, well, okay. So Magma Ifrit. This counts because it's in the anime, right? This counts, right? I think it counts. Alright, but no, in seriousness, I did actually think, because it does technically count with Magma. Even in Quad Drive, there's nothing redeemable, but that's the funny part. It's that, not even comparing to TT, even in Quad Drive, there's nothing redeemable. The chip has bad slopes, the blade is, like, subpar, there's nothing redeemable about it, really. Not much. Like, really, maybe, like, the Sequex disc, and the performance tip change of Jaggy and Wave. Like, it's cool, but, again, does not offer anything. Now, of course, really, let's get it back. Yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I know people are gonna be like, no, but Savior. Listen, Savior had the Valkyrie 1 core and the Savior Blade, both of which were top tier and offered a lot. What do you get with Dangerous? Now, the only really good part is the fact that it had Belial 2, which featured a burst stopper. And that, granted, very solid, had good stamina, so yes, I will give credit, but like the Dangerous Blade sucks. It's got an awful shape, right? Even with F-Gear, it's far too, like, even if you want to say F-Gear for opposite spin or something like that, even then, there are way better and more consistent options. And the same thing goes for All Might. Like, and listen, it's a cool gimmick for All Might, it's just, again... There's nothing that crazy about All Might, to be quite honest. Like, it's cool, right? But in the context of DB that it's released in, it just self-KOs a lot. That's about it. So, I think I was pretty fair with the overall list. And listen, it's tough. Like, don't get it twisted, right? There are a lot of stuff I probably wanted to pick and everything, but I tried my best to try to stay as consistent as I can. So let me know your thoughts in the comments for what is your picks for each of the seasons. Which do you think was the worst or most disappointing, right, for an evolution? And I am very curious. I also want to mention, just real quickly, we have a store. It's an optional way to support the channel. We have the L Gear, Divine, we have Dynamite Battle and Sparking stuff. And please, if you're able to, again, optional way to support the channel. I appreciate any support regardless. And maybe for the next one we can do the best. So let me know in the comments maybe what are your picks or whatever. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day and bye.